What's up, y'all? This is Dominic with PoorPumperSociety, and this is Pumper Bootcamp Episode 2. Now, going over a lot of questions I get in my email direct messages is, how do you get into the business? So I actually work for my dad. He's the one that started the company. And in Texas, it's a pretty straightforward process. You're not called a septic pumper, you're a sludge transporter. If you want to learn more about, the paperwork, things like that you have to do, you can do most everything through TCQ's website. I'm going to put the link below in the description. But the thing is, there's so many people from so many different states, I can't accurately tell you what you need to do to get into this line of work. You've got to go to your state's website, figure out what you have to do in your state to get licensed and get registered to become a pumper or a sludge transporter, whatever your state calls you. So as a sludge transporter, you're able to pump out septic tanks, and you also have to dispose of what you pump out. So that you have to go to a licensed facility, and you have to keep paperwork or a manifest of how much you pumped, where'd you pump it from, and where you disposed of it. Your state's website should have a list of approved facilities. I know they do on TCEQ. You should be able to give them a call and learn more, like what do they accept, what don't they accept, how much is the dump fee. Most places go by gallon, so one of the places we dispose of is 15 cents a gallon. So if we go and empty our truck there, per every 1,000, we're looking at paying 150 to dispose of it. And like I said, you got to keep manifests of everything, and you want to hold on to those because in Texas you have to report how many gallons you hold every year. You have to pay another fee on top of that. So keep track of your paperwork, and every state is going to be different, but it's a lot better to be neat and organized and play by the rules. Once you get licensed, you don't want to lose your license. So play by the rules, do everything legally, do it the right way. So your licensed sludge transporter, you have to follow the state's regulations on where you can dispose of it and the paperwork you have to keep. And now the next thing is getting a truck. How big of a truck should you get? Well, what type of systems are you dealing with in your area? In our area, most tanks range from 500 gallons to 1,000 gallons. Now, we did things the hard way starting off. We started off with a very small setup. My dad put everything he had into getting the business going, so all he could get was a 600-gallon slide-in tank. Now, for those of you that are in the industry, you know that that's a pretty small tank, usually used for portable toilets, porta potties, things like that. Not necessarily septic tanks, but it's all we had. Most of the tanks in our area are 500 to 1,000 gallons, so there would be some times where we could get it all in one go, but a lot of the time, actually, we had to make 2 trips. So, I mean, you're thinking about wear and tear on the truck. You're thinking about time, especially on making 2 trips, and just a lot more effort than needed to be. But, I mean, we come from humble beginnings. That's how we had to get started. And then, if we had to do it all over again, so based off, how far we are from our disposal facility, the average size of tank, I would say minimum 2,500 gallons. If we're doing a 1,000-gallon septic tank, I could do 2 of them before I have to go empty the truck. If we're doing an aerobic system, which ranges between 1,500 to 2,000 gallons, I can pump out the entire thing and not have to make a trip back. So think about, what type of systems you're dealing with in the area. Think about how big those systems are, and it could save you a lot of headache and wasted time in the long run. Time is money, so you want to make the most out of your time. So you're licensed as a sludge transporter through your state. You know where you can empty, you know what you can pump out, and you've got a truck. Now the next thing is make a name for yourself. Now, the way my dad started and the way we got a lot of our business is through transparency, trust, and hard work. We try and do right by our customers, and word of mouth, right when you're getting started, goes a long way. I would say even more than advertising. I mean, you could pay thousands in advertising, but if you do a terrible job, that word of mouth is going to eat you alive, and you probably won't get as much work. But if you hit the ground running, you're honest with your customers, you're very transparent about what's going on, things you see when you're working on their system, and providing solutions, that goes a long way. They're going to tell their neighbors, if they go and meet up with people around the town for coffee, things like that. They're going to talk about you, and anytime somebody needs a septic pumped out, they need some work done, they're going to recommend you because you left a good first impression And that really sticks with people. So, you know, do right by your customers, and they're gonna do the advertising for you. I would also say social media, Facebook, Google Business, they're all free to start off. You want to at least have some sort of presence online, because what do people do? A lot of times during the day, they're scrolling on their phones, and you know, if they see your truck as they're scrolling, it's going to stick in their mind, even if, you know, it's subliminally. When something happens, you know, their septic tank's backing up, they're going to remember that they saw you or a picture of your truck on Facebook, Google, things like that, and they're more likely to search you up and give you a call. So how to get into becoming a septic pumper? We've gone through the list. Go to your state's website, get licensed, get registered, figure out what all they want. Do they require experience? Things like that. Number 2, figure out where you're gonna empty. Find out where your treatment plants are. Are you close to one? Find out the rate of how much it's gonna cost you to empty when you start pumping septic tanks. Get a truck. Make sure you follow your state's recommendations, guidelines, follow all the rules of what they want, and figure out what size will work best for your area. Are you dealing with a lot of tight, windy driveways? Are you super close to your wastewater treatment plant where it doesn't matter? You know, just get the right size truck for you. I know a lot of times people always say bigger is better, but that doesn't necessarily apply to everyone. Everyone's situation is different. So, you know, it's not a one size fits all. Go with what works best for you price-wise and, you know, logistically. And then make a name for yourself. Do right by your customers, do solid, honest work, and that will speak louder than any advertising. Another thing I will add in today's Pumper Bootcamp is the very basics of a conventional septic system. Now, what is a conventional septic system? It's a septic tank and a drain field in the ground. It could be chambers, it could be pipe and gravel. The most simple septic system that has been around for hundreds of years. Conventional septic system. Now I'm going to show you the basics of what one looks like, what are the components, and we'll go from there. So when I'm walking a property looking for the general direction of where the septic tank is, the first thing I look at is the roof. Now you may be asking me, well, the septic tank's on the ground. Why are you looking at the roof? You're looking at these sewer vents up there. Now those sewer vents tie down into the sewer line under the house, and those all come out through a sewer cleanout. Now this is a 4-inch sewer cleanout. You know, it's got a screw off cap, and a lot of people, homeowners in particular, they get confused and they think this is where you pump out the septic tank from. This is actually just a sewer line that goes into our septic tank. Now this one is nice and in line with this cleanout. That's not always going to be the case. There's going to be some times where, you know, it veers off in crazy directions. It could be 100 feet from the house. That's pretty rare, but most of the time, you know, it's we're looking at within 10 to 20 feet from the sewer cleanout, at least in Texas. Now, from the sewer cleanout, the wastewater is going to enter our septic tank. So in Texas, we do have inlet baffles, which is a sanitary tee with an extension. And you can see as the water enters our septic tank, you see all this, this is the floating scum. So the main reason we have these inlet baffles in Texas is we want to leave this undisturbed. We want as little movement as possible on this floating scum layer. So as the wastewater comes into the septic tank, it's going to be redirected through this inlet baffle underneath that floating scum layer. Okay, so that's the inlet baffle. And now in your area, this may be concrete, but here in Texas, it's usually PVC. We got the floating scum layer. Now at the bottom of the tank, you have sludge. In the middle of the tank, you have effluent. Sometimes they call it the clear layer. So you have 3 layers inside the septic tank. Now this is a 1,000-gallon septic tank, and it does have a concrete baffle. So we have 1 tank with 2 chambers. So you do want to get this, both of these lids opened up on this type of system to pump it out. Now this is our 2nd chamber, and you see it has a baffle as well, and same concept. You don't want that floating scum layer going out to your drain field, so the wastewater has to come up from the clear layer, and then it goes out through your outlet baffle, and then it goes to your drain field. Now, you know, when you're driving your septic truck, you want to do a walkthrough of the property and figure out where things are. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but this nice lush green area, that's where the drain field is. And I have my truck parked over there by the driveway. Want to do a walkthrough, make sure you don't drive over nice lush green grass like this, leave ruts in the yard, makes you look bad. You don't want to crush their drain field. So I don't care if I have to run 200 feet of hose. I don't want to leave ruts in nice landscaping. I don't want to run over the drain field. I don't want to run over irrigation systems. So do a walkthrough of where you're about to work. That way you're not tearing something up with your truck. Now, a little backstory about how my dad got into this business in the first place. It's simply because there was nobody in our area that pumped out septic tanks. Someone mentioned to my dad, you know, you should really look into pumping out septic tanks. And at the time, I mean, we've lived on city sewer our whole life. So my dad's first question was like, well, what even is a septic tank? So that just goes to show you, like I said, we had to learn a lot of things through trial and error. So hopefully this video series can kind of help you out, kind of get over some of those rough patches we had when we first started. Another thing I do want to say is a lot of people see this and, you know, let's say we go and pump out a septic tank. I mean, you can make quite a bit of money, you know, in less than an hour pumping out a septic tank. And, you know, some people just see that and they think you know, that's going straight to profit, but that's not the case. You've got to look at it like this. You've got your truck, which is your equipment. You've got other pieces of equipment that you have to pay for, maintain. You've got taxes, you've got insurance, you've got disposal fees, you've got diesel. So there is a lot of overhead going into this. And when you first get into this, you also got to realize that your phone may not be ringing off the hook. I know when I started working with my dad, I mean, we were over the moon if we got one septic tank a day, hoping for 3 a week. And that was, I want to say 7 years ago. Now we're doing about 5 a day. So that just goes to show you, you know, what, you know, hard work and persistence can get you, but it's not overnight. Hopefully, you know, with this pumper boot camp, you can get there a lot faster than we did. But yeah, I mean, if you have any questions, please drop them down in the comments down below. That's really going to help propel this series is your questions. So to the best of my ability, I will help answer some of these questions. Remember, I'm in Texas, so rules, regulations, things like that will differ state to state. You've got to contact your state's wastewater, whoever's in charge of that, and figure out what they want you to do. Well, that does it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you smash that like button if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. That'll let you know when I upload a new video. If you're enjoying this pumper boot camp, have any questions, drop it down in the comment section down below. And as always, I appreciate y'all watching. Remember, smells like money. Y'all take care.